You're tuning in to Geek Speak, a Geek Insider production. We're sitting with special guests in entertainment, news, and tech. So sit back and enjoy as we geek out together right now. Good evening, everybody. This is Geek Speak, a Geek Insider presentation, and we have a panel of guests for a Full Moon Features movie, Don't Let Her In. What? We did it anyway. We're going to drop the card here and let them introduce themselves.
Hey, everybody.
So who are we not letting in?
Lorin.
We don't want Lorin in. Yeah.
You don't want me in here, but I snuck in.
Yeah.
You don't look so scary.
No. It's amazing what makeup can do.
Well, let's start with you, Ted. Tell everyone what is Don't Let Her In, how did it come about, and
your role in it,
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I'm Ted Nicolaou. I'm the writer-director of Don't Let Her In. It's really the story. It's a supernatural shocker, kind of a story of a young couple lives in a loft in downtown Los Angeles. And to help pay the rent, they advertise and bring in a roommate named Serena, who is an artist, kind of a new age artist, who seems nice at first. And Amber kind of looks up to her, but very quickly, Serena starts invading every aspect of their life with some motive that we don't quite understand until much later in the story.
And this launched today, didn't it? When our part 2 was today on the 10th?
Launched on last Friday, part 2. So basically, Charlie, decided he wanted to start telling little short movies in 2 parts, and so this is one of that series of movies.
Fantastic. And Lorin, you play the bad girl.
Yes, I play the villain, Serena. It was my first time playing a villain before, and I really enjoyed it.
I'm surprised that's the first time. What do you usually play?
I know. I haven't. I mean, I've played like characters who are a little bit unhinged, but no one who's like directly imposing harm on others, harm on myself, but not harm on others.
Uh-huh.
But like, I think it's something that I would love to continue to playing.
Yeah, villains are always interesting characters.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I love that. Cole, how about you?
I play Ben, the rocker boyfriend who is kind of very self-absorbed and not too much into what's going on at the house with the ladies, but just kind of more focused on his weed and music. So that's my character.
That's his bag there.
Not so much music, but
That's awesome.
Hey, Kelly, how about you? You're rounding it out.
I play Amber. I am sort of the opposite of Serena's character. Serena's this very confident, sort of sensual artist. She's very sure of herself. And Amber is the opposite. She's kind of shy. She's really sweet. She's a little bit naive, perhaps, because he wasn't supposed to let her in. But she said, hey, maybe she's not too bad. And she's sort of the catalyst for all this craziness happening. Because if she had just closed the door, we wouldn't have had any issues. But yeah, it was really fun. I feel like this is the sort of character I usually play, kind of girl next door, sweet and shy. So it was really fun.
I definitely wanted to ask Ted, where did this story kind of come from? Is it something that you've kind of had in the archives and said, oh, I'm gonna work on this? Was it a dream? Where did Don't Let Her In come from?
Don't Let Her In came from basically when Charlie proposed this idea to me. It was to have a very short shooting schedule and to be as inexpensive as it could possibly be. So I kind of put my mind to thinking, where is one location that could act for the whole movie? what story could I tell with a very limited number of cast members, and what story kind of interested me. And so I proposed to him several different stories, and one of them was kind of based on the idea of a roommate from hell who really might be from hell. And that's the one he went for, but he hated the title Roommate from Hell because it's a little too funny, maybe. So he proposed the title Don't Let Her In, which was a really good title for the story. And that's basically how it came about, was a very pragmatic kind of decision of how to tell a story as simply as possible so that we could bring to it as much production value and performance as we could.
That's very cool. Very cool. And of course, folks, if you don't know already, you can go to the Full Moon Features website. You can get your subscription there. That's my personal favorite. You've got library and just tons and tons and tons of things to choose from. But you can also, Meredith, isn't it as of today that it's on Amazon? I know today is something.
I think it is going on to Amazon maybe today for the first episode, and then 1 week later. And the difference is, on the Full Moon website, it's 1080p, which is, standard high definition. And on Amazon, it's going to be in 4K, so it might even be more beautiful than ever. And if you don't have the money for a Full Moon subscription, you can always get a free week and do it that way, and binge watch all your favorite Full Moon films.
Well, one of the things that I love about Full Moon is that, like, with the annual subscription, you're getting like DVDs, I think it is. I mean, he's got like this package. I'm like, I think, Matthew, you asked Charlie Band, you're like, are you making any money off of that? He's like, just watch the movies, have fun, Yep,
he was last time it was like a package of the Puppet Master movies.
Mm-hmm.
You could get a producer credit on Resonator. And so you always get more than your money's worth. So there's Charlie's plug. So Charlie, thanks for sending the folks over. But Ted, what is, and then of course we'll get to everybody else with this same question. What has been your career? What other movies have you directed? Have you written anything else that we may know off the top of our heads? Tell everybody who you are.
Okay, so I grew up in Texas, went to film school at University of Texas, came out to Los Angeles and started edited a movie called Tourist Trap. That was how I first encountered Charlie Band. Edited a bunch of movies for Charlie that when he was directing, like Trancers and some other films like that. Got my first shot at directing with a movie called Terrorvision, which is kind of a rite of passage for every healthy 12-year-old kid in the country to get totally perverted. Then went on to do a lot of movies for Charlie, Subspecies, the series of vampire films, some children's movies, Dragon World and Leapin' Leprechauns, and have had a pretty lengthy bunch of possibilities working with him.
Fantastic.
I kind of want to switch it up a little bit for our guests on the bottom panel here.
Let's get them involved here.
The genesis story of you, like this career path into movies, was it something like this is plan A and I got nothing else, or what, or was this like I was just I was discovered because I was I don't know, serving coffee somewhere, and I love those stories.
Well,
who wants to go first?
Ladies first.
Kelly.
Okay. I wish I had some cool like genesis, like I was discovered in a coffee shop. I feel like that doesn't happen anymore. I would love that. Mine was a little more simple. I'm from Michigan, and Michigan used to have tax breaks for films and stuff. So for a while, the film industry was doing good there, and then all of that ended. But for a time, I was hearing about all these productions and stuff, and I was always a theater kid. That was my, like, I don't play instruments. I don't draw. I'm not talented in that way. But theater was always my thing. It was so fun. And I was like, plan A, let's go for it. Let's try it. I was a very ambitious child. I was like, Mom, Dad, I'm moving to LA when I turn 18. And they were like, sure. And then I did my first feature film, which I believe is still on Amazon. It's called Love is Blind. and it was a cute little romantic comedy. I played the lead, and it was so much fun. It was just the shooting schedule. I have issues with like normal people jobs. Don't enjoy it. The 9 to 5 is not for me. I like the 12-hour days, just the rigorous shooting schedules. It's so fun for me. The like energy of being on set is so fun. So after that, I was kind of like, okay, when I have the money, I'm going to LA, and I've been here for 4 years now and doing commercials, probably nothing you'd heard of, but here and there we, big brand commercials and stuff. That's the bread and butter. And yeah, just having a great time.
Fantastic.
Lorin, what's that genesis story for you?
So I feel like it's been pretty straight and narrow. I've been acting in little theater companies. And, when I was younger, I'm from LA originally, so I was exposed to the industry pretty young. I was doing commercials from the time I was like 8 years old. But then I took a break. I got braces, so that put me off for a hot minute. Apparently no one wants to cast a 15-year-old with braces. So then I went to New York and studied theater there at NYU. And I was there for a little while balancing, I was did the whole, like, I was a server, I worked behind the bar, I was a hostess. And it's funny, like when you live in New York and you're trying to be an actor, you kind of realize that it's more that you're coming home at 3 a.m. after working a long shift at a restaurant and then waking up 3 p.m. doing it over again. And you're like, but I'm an actor, but you're not actually acting at all. So I decided it was a healthier life choice to move back to LA. And yeah, I've been acting here ever since. I actually, when I first graduated, I did a film called Aberrant that is on Amazon Prime. It's an interesting watch. Very DIY. We did it right out of college. It was really fun. It was, like 6 people from my actual graduating class that were in it together.
Very cool.
Like a time capsule into like what we were all going through in that time period. It's fun. I don't know if it's, I would recommend it per se, but it's like a fun thing to maybe watch if you want. I did a show recently called Too Old to Die Young. I don't know if you've heard of it. Nicholas Refn was the director. He did Drive. That's a fun one. That's a great show if you guys haven't watched it. I think there's only 1 season. Yeah. And I actually, I was kind of toying with the idea when I graduated that I would maybe do the director route. So I was precocious and decided to get 10 of my friends together and do a feature film that I had written and directed. We drove the country. Yeah, it was insane. I didn't really understand all the work that goes into directing. I was like, guerrilla style, let's go. Got a DP, like a student from USC. We drove from LA to Arizona to New Mexico to Texas, and then drove back in 24 hours and filmed the whole thing. And I was like, we're just going to film everything. You guys are going to be in character the whole time. We're just going to be a doc / guerrilla style / narrative, improv, go. And it's that is not how you make a movie. So I definitely, just was maybe directing isn't for me, but it's been a while. So maybe I could, go back to it.
Yeah. Now that you've settled down a little bit,
learn that you need a shot list. I was like, fuck a shot list.
go.
Go.
The car. Action.
Well, just talk. Go. So that was interesting. I have some footage from that. And sometimes when I'm feeling really self-loathing, I'll just watch it and I'm like,
oh no.
Yeah, but
you never cut it? You never edited it?
Nope.
Oh, maybe there's something there.
No. I
No.
mean, maybe I was actually thinking of taking the footage and making a movie on the movie, because there was some wild drama that happened between some of the people involved. And I was like, this could be an interesting thriller if it's a movie, or if it's a movie in a movie. So like the stuff that went down within the cast, like making that a psychological thriller. Cause to me, I was like, this is crazy. Like this dynamic, wild. We can make a horror movie out of that.
That's cool.
So you two are already connected here. Cole, what about you? What is your Genesis story? Is acting like plan A?
Yeah, I always knew I loved entertaining people. When I was in middle school, I think is when it really hit me. And I was in the show choir, and my school's plays we were doing. I was Rooster Hannigan and Annie, and that was my first time acting in front of people, and that was fun. And I loved the performance. So being in show choir, I knew I liked to sing and could sing. So when I moved to LA when I was 14, acting was the first choice, right? So I'm out here. I got a couple jobs. My favorite show was Criminal Minds, and that was the first gig I booked. So I was super stoked. I was a host on Disney Channel, and then I got an audition to be in a boy band for my music side of things, and then I got into that. So for the following 5-6 years, I kind of went the music route and toured and performed in this band and had a great time doing that. Learned a lot about the music industry and writing and being an artist. So that was a lot of fun. And then when it ended, I had this huge hole in my heart because I hadn't been acting in years. So I immediately jumped back into a bunch of classes and started just reading so many scripts and watching movies and auditioning again. And at the end of 2019, I was a part of a really special play production in West Hollywood called Famous: The Live Experience. And it was kind of about the industry in the early 90s and young actors kind of being sexually abused and a lot of the kind of the dark side of the industry. And so we filmed that as a movie, and it had a really like cult following. So that was really cool. And then it felt like I was on a high from that. And then the pandemic hit. So that sucked. And then the first job back was Don't Let Her In afterwards. So excited, and just hopefully the train keeps on rolling.
Where is that movie available? Is it available somewhere?
It's not available yet. They're in post right now, just finishing up. I actually just did the final ADR for them, and it's supposed to be coming out later this year.
Wow.
Very, very neat. Yeah.
Well, one of the common themes that I heard from the three of you, Lorin, Cole, and Kelly, is that you've got some theater experience.
Right.
Do you have a love for theater that you would go back, or do you feel like, okay, I cut my teeth there and film is where I want to be?
I would say for me, more the latter. Film is definitely where I want to be. I think theater is so demanding, and not to say film isn't, it's just a different level. I don't think I would be ready for that. When I see people on Broadway doing like 8 shows a week, it's mind blowing the energy these people expend to do this. So I would love to get back into theater one day, but I feel like at this time in my life, I'm like definitely into film. Yeah.
Lauren, how about you?
Yeah, I would love to do theater. I could do theater the rest of my life. There's something, this like kinetic energy that you have on stage with a scene partner. I mean, obviously in films and TV you have the same, but it's so of the moment, and to feed off that energy and an audience at the same time is like it's so exhilarating. I mean, I crave it all the time. You get mini versions of it when you're like in a scene study class, but it's just not the same.
Right.
Yeah, and unfortunately, at the LA theater scene, I mean, there's some plays like that play Cole was in. I heard of it. I actually really wanted to see that. I totally didn't realize that you were in that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, that sounded so cool.
It was amazing. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but I think if I were to do theater, I'd want to be in New York doing it.
Hey, Cole, how about you?
I will do theater for the rest of my life as well. I love it. Something I loved about music was you're on stage in front of that audience. Like that is just feeding off, the crowd, and the energy there is just, unmatched. And also, when you shoot a movie, it's the way it's done behind the scenes is very kind of chopped up. You're jumping from the end of the movie to the beginning, and you're kind of all over the place. When you're able to do theater, you tell the entire story start to finish. So it can feel a lot more real in some moments when you've been able to go from scene 1 to now we're in scene 50, and I've lived all of those moments up until kind of the end. And it's kind of maybe more authentic than I just got my hair done and I've been in crafty for 30 minutes and now I'm supposed to be like, doing something crazy. It's like, it's different, but they're both amazing. And I love film as well. So, but to answer your question, yeah, theater will always be something on my heart and like always be doing it for sure.
Now I'm getting ready to pop in here, but I always stomp on Matthew when we co-host together. Did you want to ask these guys something before I ask the next question?
Oh, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay.
I'll take this opportunity real quick because we have a new sponsor. It is meridiangrooming.com. And if you go there, it's you use Geek Insider as your discount code. You get 15% off. We will have a spot coming up in the near future for that. But I wanted to throw that out there because we've just got them on board.
Gotta pay the bills. Gotta pay the bills.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, Ted. When it comes to the writing process for you, what did you start off in prose, or was it always kind of like scripts? What is that writing process like for you? As a prose writer, I'm interested.
Yeah, we're both writers here, so
yeah.
Okay. You mean like when I was young and into writing screenplays, or like what's the process of writing a script?
When you were younger and writing screenplays and stuff, was it starting off with like the kid during homeroom, I don't know, writing poetry or something? Or
yeah, I was the weirdo little folk music kid. Writing poetry, angry protest poetry in high school, and then songs playing in coffee houses like little mini Bob Dylan in high school, and then writing songs with my rock band in college. And at a certain point, I saw a couple of movies that kind of changed my life, and one was The Seventh Seal, Ingmar Bergman's film, and the other was Fellini's Juliet of the Spirits. And a friend of mine took me, we dropped some acid, and I went and saw those two movies. And I realized that movies could change your life, and you could take everything that you loved about music and everything that you loved about writing poetry and put it into a movie. And on top of that, you had a camera and you had a crew and you had people and actors to work with. So I kind of switched over from pre-med school to film school, much to my parents' chagrin.
Oh my goodness.
And became a show folk, at which my parents hated the idea of that. But for writing a screenplay now, basically it's like 90% procrastination and 10% inspiration for me, where I'll just sit and think and imagine what I find photographs on the internet to kind of inspire the places that might be part of the story. Then I'll start just going, oh, here's an idea for one scene. Here's something for a character. And just with no structure, just start typing stuff. And eventually then start moving that around into Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. And when I feel like there's enough kind of information or I know the story well enough, or the characters start wanting to speak in a more kind of detailed way, I'll switch over and start working on the screenplay. And it's the first few pages are kind of torture to write, and then pretty soon the characters take over and the pages start kind of flying. I'm still slow. 5 pages a day is kind of my good average. If I do that, I'm happy.
Now, do the three of you have like writing aspirations at all?
Yeah, I'm actually a creative writing major. I graduated from Antioch University, and mostly screenplays. I've just finished my first draft of a pilot of mine, so I'm going back in and working on that. Definitely, I feel like that's the next level from acting to like producing and writing.
Very cool.
Lorin, Cole, how about you guys?
Lorin?
Yeah. So in quarantine, I kind of have been working on this pilot that I've had in the back of my mind, or like been kind of working on for like about 3 years. I did a workshop with the Sundance Lab this, quarantine. And so I've kind of been working on my third draft. It's loosely based on my grandmother. And I've been trying to kind of, she lives in Palm Springs, so I've been just driving back and forth trying to, get photos and get like an oral recollection of like that time period from her and kind of bringing it back into the script. I get a little bit discouraged when I get to a point in a script where I'm like, I don't know how to rework this, or I don't know how this can improve. So I kind of like fall off of it. So I need to just like hunker down and like take a week and just be like, I'm going to fix up all these little things that I've been, meaning to do.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Very awesome.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like how Ted started. I write a lot of music. Obviously, I'm still a musician. I'm still writing my own stuff. So that's my favorite part about music is writing. So it's a huge part of, me. And I actually was starting a script for a series for like an adult cartoon, adult animation. But I was writing with my ex and we broke up. So that's been scrapped.
Oh, no.
So it was really funny. But that was kind of my first stab at writing a script. So, and I have one other idea for a film, maybe a series, but I met this guy. I can't say too much, but I met a guy on a plane one day, and he just wanted to give me his life story. And it was such a wild, interesting story that I've kept in touch with him, and I've asked if I can make his life into a movie or loosely based, and he said yeah. So I'm definitely gonna be working on that one day. But I'm in that 90% of procrastination right now. So
Oh no!
I'll let you know when I get started.
Get his signature on a release.
I know.
Before anything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Mhm.
Also,
So now, Don't Let Her In is on Full Moon Features right now. Make sure that you head over there, get the subscription, watch the movie, leave a review and everything. Now, we've had a few interviews with people who've worked within the Full Moon Features franchise, and the schedule is always like, you got 7 days. Or something like that.
Oh, that's a expansive Full Moon, big budget movie. Yeah.
What was that experience like for you guys?
Yeah, and how long did y'all shoot?
Yeah.
7 days.
Yeah.
7 days.
We started out with 6 days. 6 days. And I begged each of these cast members, Lorin, Cole, and Kelly, to please help me by being totally prepared when you came to the set and know your lines, because that's the only way we're going to make this movie. And for me, I don't like to work fast. I prefer kind of take it easy, go. But every morning it was like, holy shit, we have to shoot all these scenes today. And to their credit, they came so prepared that it made the job like a pleasure. There were some moments of terror, but for the most part,
Literally.
yeah. Yeah. Well, what about for you guys? Was it like grueling every day?
I think that's the theater training comes in handy.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, I feel like it was just taking those moments of like when you're the focus that you need for theater production, just applying it to set for film. I don't know. I thought that it was really like, and just the ability to like absorb, after every day, it would be like, okay, go home, figure out what we're shooting next, and like cram, and then sleep on it. And then it would just kind of be digested, and you'd hope for the best the next day.
Yeah. I do background work sometimes, and that's so much of just sitting around like waiting for them to call you. And this to me was easier than that, because you were doing something. You were constantly doing something. Especially for Lorin and I, we would just have scene after scene after scene after scene. We didn't get a lot of downtime, which sounds a little excruciating, but honestly, I really enjoyed it. By the end of the day, I was like, oh, I feel so accomplished. We got so much done. Like, I was energized. The day we did all the like gore, like the blood scenes and stuff, I was so amped up when we finished the scene. I was like, I gotta call someone. I gotta talk to my friends. Like, yeah, the energy just kept me going through the long days.
Yeah, same. I mean, like Kelly just said, they had a lot more to shoot than I did. So, luckily that for me, I didn't have as much, so it was easier. But yeah, I feel like it was just theater training helps, and it was just a good time. And study the night before what you got to do next, and you got it the next day. And Ted wrote a really great script, and it's not, it's not overly complicated. It just flows really naturally. And so the scenes, when you read them, it just kind of like they stick with you. So it's really good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Well, so now I have asked this before because we love our actors here, and for the ladies especially, I guess, sometimes you get those roles where you're all glammed up, you got the makeup on, you got the dress and everything, and then you get into a horror and they're just dumping buckets of blood and whatever on you. Do you have a preference? I mean,
we've had some very surprising
answers.
I feel like that question's for Lorin, because she got the most blood and prosthetics and stuff.
I mean, I'm always gonna prefer the blood. With the blood,
I'm surprised by that.
Like meaty scene that's someone's either dying or close to death. So like I don't know, it's juicy, it's fun. Also, like I'm always so fascinated by like how they do the blood gags. And just like how they make it work. I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm a huge like sci-fi and like special effects fan. So being able to see that behind the scenes is really fun. I did a movie once where I had to lay on the floor in a pool of blood for an extended period of time. And I will say that was not I would have preferred more glam that day. Depending on the scenario. Yeah, I like the blood and stuff. It's really interesting to see the behind the scenes.
Now, I wanted to ask before, this is to you three again. Before you got this job, had you heard of Full Moon Features movies? And if so, which were your favorites at that time? Because I know, we don't have Blockbuster anymore where you can just walk in, and that's how I found them. And so it can take the new generation a little bit to find them. So let's start with you, Cole. Were you a fan of Full Moon?
Actually, I had not heard of them, but now that I have my subscription to the app, I'm going to be, I'm in now. So I got to go back. I'm going to start with all Ted's old films and just keep on rolling. Starting with Don't Let Her In, though.
Right.
Yep.
I knew of Subspecies and I watched it obviously, and Ted's such a legend. And I was so excited to work with someone who's just throughout the years been like consistently making solid horror. Like, I mean, it's it's like a dream come true essentially for people who like horror. But yeah, that was the only Full Moon feature that I had seen. But yeah, I just started Gingerweed Man last night.
Oh man.
That.
And Kelly, how about you?
Well, I actually wanted to revert back to Cole here because buckets of blood or glammed up.
Oh yeah.
Definitely blood. When I got the job at first, I still hadn't read the whole script, and I just knew, the dumb boyfriend always gets killed or something. And I don't know if I'm giving too much away, but I get the least amount of blood on me. So I was kind of bummed, but it's okay. One day we'll get that role. That's so funny. But yeah, going back to Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had heard of Evil Bong specifically.
Yeah.
I had not seen it, but my friends used to smoke a lot of weed, and they were like, "Have you heard of this movie, Evil Bong? Evil Bong." That's so funny. But I never got around to watching it. And I was like, "That's hilarious. I want to see that." And then
so
I realized it was full moon.
Oh, look at that.
There we
Wow,
go.
Ouija's, and I got a couple of others laying around here, but yeah, Charles seems to like the marijuana related themes sometimes.
Definitely.
Now, what is your favorite genre to watch?
Let's start with Ted.
Oh, my favorite genre would be kind of psychological thrillers
Okay.
and comedies. Really, horror films. I like horror films and science fiction. I like science fiction films. Horror films, I've sort of been so disappointed by so many recent horror films that I still kind of think back to the films that I loved kind of years ago, but for me, a good crime thriller or psychological thriller is kind of the fun thing to watch.
And how about Lorin, Cole, or Kelly? And because I do have a follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's either I want to be scared or I want to be crying. Kind of
Crying,
a dark and sad, the potential of someone's life can be. I'm a sucker for that. Like a really dark family drama. Oh yeah, I'm so in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree on that. I like really sad movies. I don't know why. If it can make me cry, I'm like, oh, yes, hurt me.
Yeah.
And then I'm also really into sci-fi. I don't know what it is. I just love like outer space movies or like dystopian future. It gets me,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sci-fi for me is probably my number one. Psychological thrillers, mysteries. My favorite movie of all time growing up was Labyrinth. George Lucas, Jim Henson, and David Bowie. Just those three minds coming together. I have that huge poster in my room. Just that world as a child, and all those minds coming together was the coolest thing I had ever seen. So just ever since, I've always kind of been very much into kind of fantastical realms and such. So yeah.
Well, because the follow-up question to that is based on the favorite thing that you love to watch, is it something that you feel like you can act, or is there a genre where you're like, that would be really stretching my skill?
Not those three. They have skill to burn, man.
Oh, Ted.
I always see fantasy and sci-fi, and it's so much green screen. And you think that there's this epic thing happening, and then you see it behind the scenes, and it's like, I don't know, something like Jennifer Lawrence standing behind a green screen. And I always think that would be kind of hard. That'd be kind of hard to pull off, pretending to see all this stuff in front of you. But it would be a fun challenge.
Anything, Lorin, Cole, as far as pushing your boundaries as far as your acting skills?
I think it's both. I think yes, of course, I would love to be in a family drama where the most catastrophic things are happening to the family. I think it would be cathartic for it to be in something like that. But I also think it helps me relate to my own dysfunction when I'm watching something and I'm like, there are other people like me or people that I know in this world. Interesting. So it's I don't know. It's a form of healing.
Yeah. I feel like there's a bit of fear and excitement in any kind of role. I would love to do everything. For some reason, I feel like comedy would be a little more difficult just because it's not what I normally think about, but it's also at the same time, since I'm scared of it, I want to do it even more. Right. So it's kind of that dynamic. I definitely would love to, though, to answer your question specifically, to be in one of those kind of mysterious or sci-fi movies would be such a dream come true. So I'm I'm not afraid of that at all. I would love to do that one day.
That's surprising, Cole, because you're so funny.
Yeah, and you're funny in this film too.
Yeah. Thank you. I you know, it's funny that I say that because I also at the same time would love to do stand-up one day, but for some reason,
oh my God,
a comedy movie, for some reason, it really does kind of freak me out.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ted, I did want to ask you something. When there are difficult scenes, whether it's working with these three or any other movie that you've worked on, how do you approach your actors?
I guess, I mean, difficult scenes meaning like they might go, I'm not doing that.
Well, either I might not be doing that, or it's like a really difficult topic. You know, it's like, hey, Lorin, you know, you might be getting murdered here, and you really got to get into the depths of, you know, or Kelly, you know, it's like anybody, when you're reaching that and you're like, hey, you know, you got to dig deep for this moment. How do you approach your actors with that?
You know what? I try to make my actors feel completely safe and completely free to screw up or try anything, or and when it comes to doing something very difficult, really just talk about it, rehearse it, and see where the limits are. And in this film, for instance, Lorin had to really go to some very bizarre places, and she was kind of open to doing it and really embraced it. And so all it took from me was just a little push every now and then. And for Kelly, it was, she had to go from being like the girl next door, Debbie Reynolds kind of character to something really, really out there. And the same thing. It's like if an actor is willing to kind of go there, then all I have to do is kind of help them get there and help bring the camera to that performance. And in this film, Cole had to be, he was kind of like the character who's kind of the rascally boyfriend who's kind of an asshole, but because Cole is so basically likable and warm, it kind of took the assholeness off of the character and just made him like, you couldn't believe some of the things that he was getting away with Kelly. But there came the final scenes of the movie where everything got super, super intense, and kind of the whole kind of believability of what's going on in the end of the film kind of rested in Cole's reactions. And same thing, it's just like you create an atmosphere where everybody's willing to throw themselves into it wholeheartedly. And you know, we got really, really lucky that that happened on this film. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have really troublesome actors and they're a pain in the butt to work with. But on this one, we had no time for pain in the butt, and we had no pain in the butts around, you know?
Yeah. So for Lorin, Cole, and Kelly then, with such a tight schedule that you had, did you have time at night to kind of wind down and go, okay, that's the end of the day, shut it off? Or did you have to kind of stay in character? What was that process like for you guys?
I know that I think I was staying in it for the entirety of our 7-day shoot. Well, just because I think it was like about the cram the next day. So it was like, let's just like be here. It's easier than like getting out and then coming back mentally. I probably, you know, giving myself some self-care isn't like my strong suit. I kind of am just like, go. So after we were done shooting, I went on a nice little like mini vacay to Palm Springs and like
you needed that.
Yeah, I mean that must have been rough for the family, you know, just to be like, okay, when are we getting Lorin back? You know,
my poor fiance, like Also, there was, I mean, of course, when you're shooting something so much, like when it rains, it pours. And it was like, sometimes I would have to like go home and like do an audition at like 11. And I was like, like, let's go. Whoa! Like, you're just kind of like a warrior. It's kind of,
yeah.
Well, Cole, how about you? I mean, did you kind of stay in character knowing that this was such a rough, tight schedule? Or were you able to shut it off at night?
I mean, I guess it kind of carried over. We would get done late at night. So as soon as I got home, I'd pass out. And then you wake up in the morning and start like going over what I'm doing. So I'm already in the mindset of Ben, kind of just making sure I know what the hell my lines are for the day. So it kind of is, you kind of just got to stay in the mindset. Luckily for Ben, it's not too much of a different person than I am already. So I just had to be a little less sweet and a little more dickish than I kind of am at a core. But yeah, it's definitely, it's a very fast-paced shoot. So you want to stay as close to those characters as possible.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like I sort of turned it off. I feel like when I was like here with the other actors and with Ted, then I could like switch it back on. But I feel like I needed those, like that downtime. Like on my drive home, I would like blast music and be like, I'm me again. And then just go home and like, eat a ton and like pass out and just get ready for the next day. Yeah, so I feel like I almost had to turn it off a little bit just to like shake it loose and then come back. Because otherwise I feel like my performance would get really stale. Because I would be like trying to keep going in this mode. And I'd be like, no, I need to like a hard pause, a hard break, and then come back. So yeah, but it was awesome to have such a tight schedule and be going for so long. Yeah.
Now, go ahead, Matthew.
Being a horror director, being with Full Moon Features for so long, is there any one place that you would just love to be able to film at? Is there any, doesn't matter what it is?
I've been really lucky in that I got to go to Romania back right after the revolution, like 1990, and to shoot the Subspecies films. And going to a foreign country kind of opens your imagination in a way that shooting in the States doesn't. So for me, shooting in Romania was like for 10 years, I was there 2 or 3 months every year shooting films. And it was phenomenal. I would like to go. I've shot in Italy and I love shooting there. Any place there is like awesome architecture or ancient ruins. For me are the places for horror films to be told. The place I haven't gotten to go and I'd love to would be Ireland, because I think the landscapes there and the weather there and the castles would be really inspiring too.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a question here. Alan asked, when does this come out? And
well,
Alan,
I can answer that.
Yeah.
So don't let her in, you guys. Go to Full Moon Features. All right. Get the subscription. Check them out because they've got a lot of stuff over there.
Get the app. Get the app first.
Get the app. Yeah. It is, from what I'm reading here, a sensual 2-part horror film. Now, the first part was released on April 30th, but the second part, Amazon Prime Video, you can find it on Roku, Amazon Fire, Google Play, X1, May 10th, today. So it's already there.
Is part 2 on Amazon already?
I do believe so. Following its 10-day Full Moon Feature exclusive run, episode 1 of The Rosemary's Baby-esque Tale of Terror will debut across all Full Moon Features channels. Okay, no, I'm sorry. It is episode 1.
Episode 1. So you might want to wait till you can get episode 1 and 2 and then watch them straight through so you can have like a more cinematic experience.
Yep. So I stand corrected. That is episode 1 that is available right now. Episode Well, the second part.
Get your full moon features subscription.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Go and watch both. This is just if you want to watch it on Amazon, folks. But if you want to watch it tonight, you can go and see it at
Full moon features
subscription service.
So that is I mean, we're getting close to our hour and we've got you guys here. Normally we have one final question that we ask our guests, and Matthew, I've been practicing.
All
right, I've been practicing because I used to trip over this a little bit, and we're going to go around the panel here. So if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice.
Oh my God.
Ted, we're going to leave you for last because I love that reaction.
Dude, this would be a theme song right here. You know, give them like 10 seconds to think.
Or maybe Cole sing us a song. I don't know. All right, who's got their answer?
That's a hard question.
That is a super hard question. Yeah, because regrets. I have many.
I have things that like could be regrets, but I always like to be like, oh, but it made me who I am. So I'm so thankful.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and you're too young to have too many regrets yet, you know.
Man, I don't know if Lorin wants to go first here.
I feel like this is a you question. You thought about this. I feel like this is a whole question.
Oh man, is it?
Not to put you on the spot, but I feel like you just have a
I think I would tell myself to not stop acting when I had my run in the band in music. I would have continued auditioning and stuff. I technically couldn't contractually, but I would have fought harder to change that contract so I could have been acting those years as well. But still had a great time and learned a lot in those years, but definitely wish I wouldn't have stopped.
Was there time? Would there have been time to do that?
I mean, not really. So that's a bummer, but I could have made time. I could have figured it out. I don't know. Yeah.
All right, who's next? Who's brave? Who's the brave soul?
Mine. I have three.
Hey, you're only supposed to have one.
I have three. They kind of go together. They're all like a package deal.
Okay.
I would tell myself, start wearing sunscreen more every day. Every day. I only started doing this recently. I would say start wearing sunscreen, stop drinking, and stop worrying so much. Just like calm down. Everything's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Very
Yeah.
good. We'll let you bend the rules for those.
Thank you.
I would actually say drink more. No. Have way more fun in your youth. Like go absolutely ham, because I just turned 30 this year and I'm like, shit is real. Shit has gotten real. Life is real. And now I feel like an adult and I'm like, I should have like just done more spontaneous things in my college years and in my 20s. Like, why was I so focused on career?
Yeah.
Should have done it.
You still
All right, Ted, we're digging into the archives here.
Oh boy. You know what? It's simultaneously, I would say to my younger self, write more. Don't stop writing. But simultaneously, I would say have more fun too, and take some time off from work brain, because I'm so focused on, I love working so much that sometimes I forget that I also love just fucking off and doing nothing. So
exactly.
So, but I think I would say write more, focus more on kind of broadening my horizons. Maybe try to do more comedies and fantasy films too. You know.
Oh wow. So now where can people follow you guys, and what are you working on next? Because you guys are all hustling, so I know that you don't have much of a break.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly.
Yep.
You can follow me on Instagram at Kelly ASAP.
What? You changed your...
No, stop, Ted. You're embarrassing me. I have 2 Instagrams.
Well, what was it before?
Well, I have 2. So Kelly ASAP is my professional one. And then I have one called Pole, Pole, pole.princess, because I used to be a pole dancer. And so I had all these pole videos, and then that just went away. And now it's just like my regular Instagram. So you can follow me on either of those. Hopefully, another film next, commercials, the pilot I'm writing. I'll just keep going. Hopefully you'll just see me out there.
Fantastic.
You can follow me on at Lorin A Doctor on Instagram, LorinADoctor. Right now I'm actually getting my master's in clinical psychology. So I'm like trying to balance acting and doing that. So I think I have like a, bit of time before I, book the next thing I book. Don't know what that'll be. Hopefully something soon. But yeah, so
that's the whole adulting thing. I totally get that. Yeah. Oh, girl. All right. Nicole, how about you? Where can people follow you? And what are you working on next?
Oh, goodness. On Instagram and Twitter, you can follow me at Cole Pendry, ColePendery. My next projects, I'm working on my next album or EP or whatever the body of music is going to be labeled as. But I'm going to New York in a week or this weekend to work with some producers out there and get that going. I've never created in New York, so I'm excited to kind of get that and see that energy and everything out there. And yeah, I'm gonna be trying to write that one script I was talking about. So we'll see. I'll get his signature on that.
Well, Cole, I have to ask you: is this a solo, or do you have a band? And give the band a shout out.
Yeah.
Well, so my music pseudonym is Ryder, Rydyr. Ryder's my mother's maiden name, and when I do play live, I have a band. So we'll be touring soon as soon as the world is a little healthier. But yeah, you can. Go ahead.
Do you have a website or Instagram for the band or anything?
Oh yeah, RyderOfficial.com. RYDYRofficial.com.
Sweet.
Cool.
Ted, where can people follow you? And what are you working on next? What
Okay,
can
you
we
can follow me Facebook, Ted Nicolaou, or Instagram, Ted Nicolaou. Really creative. And next, we're basically planning to go shoot Subspecies #5, the prequel to the Subspecies series. Looking like probably September, October, something like that, in Serbia, because Romania, which we pioneered, has gotten to be too expensive for our movie making. So Serbia, we've got some partners in Serbia that so I'm working on that. Writing a script for another production company right now that I started before we started this one and had to put it aside. And now I'm trying to get back into that frame of mind for little creature feature. And that's about it right now.
All right.
You definitely have to come back once you even start filming on that. We'd love to get an update halfway through, especially on location.
Yeah, definitely, man.
You could really use a more interesting Instagram. So Kelly, you're not using your pole dancer one.
There we go. You can have Pole Princess.
Yeah,
right.
That would get me a lot of followers, I'm sure.
Yeah, it might.
Okay,
So
I'm buying that from you.
I actually did have one more question, because there are some places that are opening up, so going to like conventions and things like that. Have you thought about maybe going to the Comic-Con or like Spooky Empire and things like that?
I love going to conventions myself, and we get invited sometimes, but I guess because Subspecies is kind of like an old franchise, we don't get invited as much as we'd like to be invited. We're hoping maybe with Subspecies 5, then me and Anis Hove and Denise Duff could kind of show up at some conventions and meet people, because we find that to be a really fun experience. Maybe with Don't Let Her In, we'll get invited someplace depending on the crowd reaction to it. So yeah, conventions are cool. I love them.
Yeah. Do you guys go to the conventions and stuff?
I would love to be invited. I have not gone. I think mostly just financially. I haven't been able to fit that into my budget. But if we got invited, that would be so fun. I love conventions.
Yeah, they're really fun.
Yeah, I love conventions. I got to go to one Comic-Con in Vegas, and it was right before Stan Lee passed away, the creator of Marvel. I got to see him speak, and that was really inspiring and cool. I love conventions as well, when everyone dresses up and the cosplay, and just you see how much these creations of art and these films and these shows mean to people. It's really touching and powerful. So just one of my favorite environments, for real.
Mm-hmm.
That's how this whole podcast got started.
Yep, Lorin?
First, this would be a first. I mean,
wow.
I've seen pictures of Comic-Con and I'm always envious. It looks really fun.
Well, we appreciate you guys popping in and having this discussion about Don't Let Her In, you guys. Full Moon Features, Don't Let Her In. Thank you to our guests, Ted, Kelly, Lorin, Cole. We appreciate you for being here. Everybody.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you for having us. Yeah, spread the word.
Geek out, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. And make sure you head over to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button and share it out with your friends.
Cole,
Yeah,
Kelly.
because if you don't, I'm telling you guys, you better turn in your geek cards. I mean it. All right, here we go. At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.